This week's episode of the Pretty Neat Podcast is brought to you by you. That's right, if you'd like us to promote your content or your store, let us know by going to theprettyneatpodcast.com and clicking the mailbag.
Sanctum of Truth.
Here's the thing. Okay. I don't, much like the way I think I understand Jack Skellington to be is he the mayor of Halloween Town?
Yes.
Okay.
No. He's the king. He's the pumpkin king. The mayor of Halloween Town has the spinny head.
Okay. You're right.
He's just an elected official.
When it comes to the Sanctum of Truth, I'm that guy. I'm the mayor of Halloween Town. I can influence what happens, but I have truly zero control over what happens. Okay?
Sure.
And that's where we find ourselves today, dear listeners.
It's time for the Pretty Neat Podcast.
So here's the thing, Aaron, I'm going to put it to you this way. If I had said to you, I'm going to give you the choice of two pay-per-views that is one pay-per-view. You can see Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira and Khamzat Chimaev versus, for some reason, Paulo Costa. Or you can see Islam Makhachev fight Alexander Volkanovski and Khamzat Chimaev fight Kamaru Usman. Which one would you choose? Which one's getting your $79.99 hard-earned American cents?
I have to tell you, Dom, king of Halloween Town.
No, mayor. I don't know who the king of the Sanctum of Truth is yet. We got to figure that out at some point.
It's Bryce Mitchell.
It may well be Bryce Mitchell.
It's the second one. The second one is the correct answer.
That's right.
This card went from being a really good card to the potential of being an A- card.
It went from being a card that had a fight everyone wanted to see on it to now being a card that everyone wants to see too.
Yeah, I was gonna say a fight.
I gotta look at the rest of it, I guess. But
okay. Well, I mean, the match number 3 is Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker, which is gonna be way fun. I think it's gonna be fun.
I don't know what Johnny Walker is, and neither do you.
I don't know what Magomed is after his
also true
draw.
Also true
with Jan. So I kind of like this one. And then Warley Alves is a can.
Yeah, he's
for Ikram. Because Ikram is the guy that they don't want Bo Nickel to fight.
That's right.
Because
we were just talking about him.
Yep. They are the two middleweights that are like, oh shit.
And you can pretend Bo doesn't beat him if you want, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And then another Nurmagomedov is on this card too.
Yeah, Saeed.
And this card is taking place in the UAE. So
yeah, this is Abu Dhabi. This is the flagship.
It makes me wonder. Did we know that Volkanovski was the backup for this fight already?
Here's the thing. He wasn't. Mateusz Gamrot apparently was given the backup role. And
that's also a lot of fun.
Yeah, and apparently Mateusz Gamrot has been
hey, prepping. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think he threatened to either sue the UFC or to leave the UFC or some shit about this.
And
But
Dana said, "Go ahead and kiss my whole asshole." That's not how this works, buddy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Mateusz Gamrot is not going to be the headliner of the Abu Dhabi card. Like, I love the guy, but that wasn't a realistic expectation if Volkanovski was going to be okay. But he was supposed to fight Ilia Topuria in January because he's still recovering kind of from the injury. So I am sort of curious to see how
Here's the thing,
Volkanovski
though.
will
I
do.
was thinking about this. It's really no risk for him
Is
because
it no
even if
risk?
no, I think so because he's not going to get knocked out bad. He's not going to take a Leon Edwards head kick or something. That's off the table. That's just not what Machachev does. And even if he loses, people will just say, "Oh, well, he's coming off an injury on 11 days' notice and had to fly to fucking Abu Dhabi."
Yeah.
Which may not be, granted, I don't have a globe in front of me, from New Zealand or Australia may not be as big of an undertaking as it is from here.
You're in the
The good
sanctum.
old
You mean a map.
Well,
What's a
okay.
globe?
But the fight isn't taking place in the sanctum. So we actually are having a DAZN fight night hosted here in the sanctum. I will send you a code for the pay-per-view. You don't have to pay for it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then the same, so maybe Kamaru, they're not going to have like a scheduled backup for just a non-title middleweight fight though.
No, no. I don't know what the Kamaru thing is.
So he's
That
making
is
his 180-pound debut. Well, he's or 185 rather, right? Or has he fought there in the UFC before?
I don't believe he has fought at 185.
Okay.
So this would be his debut and Khamzat's return to 185.
Which
Uh,
obviously next week we'll break these down more, but which of these are you more interested in?
um, of the whole night or of those two
Of those two,
quick
just because they were
switches?
just what today announced as being different.
I am,
Good thing we didn't record yesterday.
yeah, right. It's such a good thing we didn't record yesterday because we still have
Yeah.
to talk about USADA. And
Right.
um, I have to tell you, it's weird because after the Islam Volkanovski news came out, I looked on a couple of the boards that I follow
Yeah.
online, which
Hmm.
are mostly in the card trade. So it's
Okay.
like, it's not necessarily them talking about the cards, but what was weird about it was how many people were in there saying this is a piece of cake for Islam and
What?
that he dominated Volkanovski and and there
What
were
fight did they watch?
there were way fewer comments defending Volkanovski and I'm like what are you talk and I'm like sitting there what are you talking about like it was contested that Volkanovski didn't win the fight.
I believe he did
Like
win the
a
fight.
lot of people do. I thought he did. He landed more strikes. Like he on
Let's just look at the. Can I get these here?
their original fight stats.
I'm working on it. Here we go.
Um,
So just for what it's worth, total strikes 164 to 95.
and that was
He did
Volk.
not. Yeah, he did not have any takedowns. He was 0 of 4, but he held Islam to only 4 of 9, and he's considerably smaller than him.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
He literally
had
was slapping Islam's ass during one point, remember?
Yep, he had
Like,
70 significant strikes to 57 from Islam, and he knocked him down.
yeah.
Um, he he won or tied. No, I take that back. He had more significant strikes in round 5, in round 4, 2 less in round 3. They tied in round 2, and he had 1 less in round 1. So
I thought he won
I just
3 of 5, but
all I'm saying is you could make a real argument. And I
all
don't see, yeah,
mhm.
63% to the head, 32% to the body. 58 of them from distance to only 6 in the clinch. 12 of Makhachev's came in the clinch. 6 of Volk's significant strikes came from the ground. Islam didn't have any on the ground. That is a contested decision. Judges are fucking dumb. So don't tell me that this is light work for Islam Makhachev. If anything, it's even more dangerous because Volkanovski and Charles Oliveira are very different fighters.
Yeah, they are.
Preparing for Oliveira is not even remotely the same as it is for Volkanovski.
No.
Volkanovski is as good as it gets. And Makhachev knows that, but shit.
And he doesn't even have Makhachev may have an advantage in that he's had a good big full camp.
Yeah.
And Volkanovski's been more on the mend. But even with all that to be said, which there's more to even unpack if Volkanovski wins, because then he's the lightweight and featherweight champion. And what happens there? Like, do they do an interim? Do you put Ilya into an interim fight with somebody?
Stop saying interim.
I have to. It's my favorite thing. All of this to be said, all of this being said,
yeah,
the Kamaru Usman Khamzat fight is the one of these two that I am more looking forward to.
All right, change my mind because I'm intrigued by it, but I'm not like, oh, let me kick down the door to get there.
Yeah. Well, Kamaru has only lost in the UFC twice, and both of them were to Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
So I think Kamaru really cleaned out welterweight aside from Leon. So I don't think there's really much to talk about him in welterweight much anymore.
Okay.
So I'm really looking forward to his middleweight debut. I'm really excited to see Khamzat's grappling and Kamaru's wrestling. Because I legitimately I feel like Kamaru will toss him around. But Khamzat's going to be pretty big. This is 185. And Khamzat hits fucking hard.
Kamaru was big for 70.
He was really big for 70. You're so right.
Or is big for 70. So it's going to be interesting to see.
So this is why I'm interested in it more. I've seen Islam Alex before. I want to see a rematch.
Yeah.
But I want it because I know it's delicious. I've had it before. It's delicious. This is a new recipe that has all the right ingredients for me. I'm excited to try it. Kamaru at middleweight against Khamzat.
I would have loved to see. My only counter to that is I would have loved to see Kamaru and Khamzat with the Kamaru that didn't.
Oh no, you froze. You completely froze. I don't know if you can hear me, but the last thing you said was Kamaru didn't, and then it totally froze. But I am still moving. You're frozen on my screen. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, welcome back.
Oh, hi. You completely froze on my screen as well.
Hey, we sent the same thing to each other.
Really?
Yeah. I would rather see the Kamaru that wasn't knocked out by Leon Edwards.
You're right.
Fight Khamzat. Here's the thing, man. Let's be real. We love Kamaru on this show. How many is that not like a life-changing blow to the head?
Not only that, he's got a bad knee.
Yeah, he's dealt with that though. But that level of head trauma, man, is I think I've heard people like MMA people say you should take more than a year after some shit like that.
It's been well over a year.
But he fought in between, I'm saying.
That is true. Yeah.
He fought in less than a year, rather.
I do see. I think Kamaru is going to get knocked out.
Do you?
I do. And I think it's going to be maybe not early, but I think Khamzat is going to be very violent in this fight. And I don't.
What tipped you off?
Yeah. Well, it feels like He's not Dagestani. He's Swedish.
He's from
Some
Sweden by way of
uh
not
Kazakhstan. One of those.
Kyrgyzstanani. I don't know.
Regardless, the type of grappling and wrestling they do there is to hurt people, and the
Yeah.
American wrestling is to subdue people.
Yes.
And I don't think that's going to clash very well
Okay.
For Kamaru.
And that's fair. My not counter, but my response, or I just here's what I'll say. I think he being Kamaru either looks fucking awesome, or we
Hmm.
come out and beats him, or we come out of this fight thinking, okay, Kamaru's done.
Yeah, we went
And
out on a
there's nothing
shield
in
though, at
between.
least.
Maybe I don't love seeing guys. He's from Gvardeskoye Chechen Republic of Ich Korea, which is Chechnya today. He's in Chechnya, Russia,
Wait a minute.
or he's from there, but he lives in Sweden.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
It's
Uh,
also wild to me that he's a purple belt in jujitsu. You know how many black belts this guy would just absolutely fucking mollywop? But
I
Chechnya is what we were looking for.
where the hell is it?
You drinking your cider today?
I am. I'm having my cider
All
today.
right, I like it. I
Uh,
like that.
okay, that is his UFC record. Um, where is Kamaru's total record? Ah, never mind. Okay. Um, but get this. Kamaru Usman fought somebody in April of 2017 on UFC 210, which was
Okay.
Cormier versus Johnson 2,
Uh-huh.
and he beat him by decision. That person was Sean Strickland, who is the
Okay.
middleweight champion where Kamaru's making his debut.
MMA math.
So
Um
Kamaru should be next in line for that belt at middleweight. Uh,
I mean,
so if he kills Khamzat, then put
is
him in
it
there. Put
is
him in
it
there with
crazy?
Israel.
Is that crazy to say?
No.
I don't think so.
Would you love to
Not
see?
with Israel. Put him in there with Sean Strickland.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see him with Israel.
Yeah, I think Israel Adesanya. I think we got to see the rise, we got to see the plateau defense, and then I don't think he's going to be one of these second prime guys. You know what a second prime is?
Hmm.
He's not going to be that. I don't think. I don't think he finds another two or three title defenses or something.
I think
I
you're on
mean,
it.
I it depends on, I guess, what they replace USADA with, but
Yeah.
we'll get to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Which I mean, before we go to that, are there any other big fights on this that you really wanted to? Well, like we're gonna go
um,
into it more next week anyway. So with
yeah, definitely.
right.
I just want to say this: last week's fight night, Dawson and Green won me a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
money. Won me a lot of money. So
Oh yeah.
shout out gambling. I hit on a parlay of JJ Aldrich to have over 54.5 strikes. My second fight actually dropped off for whatever reason, and I had Dawson and Green to go under 18.5 minutes, so I pretty handily cleared that.
Great. That's a great bet, by the
I
way.
have a question for you.
What's up?
What's the real difference? And don't jump to an answer. What's the real difference between Bobby Green and Donald Cerrone?
Uh, uh I like what you're doing here.
They're the same.
Yeah.
It's the Pam from the Office meme where she's holding up the pictures, and it's the same picture. They're the same.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Bobby Green is considerably less famous amongst MMA fans, which is dumb. But
I think that's going to change with beating Grant.
no, I don't know.
But even most people in the MMA sphere view it as a fluke, really.
Well, could have been.
Could have been. Bobby Green's entertaining. I'll
Mm-hmm.
watch it. Why not? See where he goes.
But
And he's gonna have a ranking now, which is weird.
wouldn't he already have one by today?
He should. I haven't checked actually. I'm gonna bring it up.
Yep,
Uh,
13.
oh wow. Good. Way to go, Bobby.
Grant
Um,
Dawson took a 5-spot tumble, and he's also ahead of Matt the Steamroller Frivola.
oh, damn. Yeah, there wasn't too much else on that card that jumps out at me.
No, not a show-stopping card, and
Uh,
really neither is the one this coming Saturday.
yeah, Contender Series last week was better than this card.
Contender Series is good every week.
Yeah, I did not watch yesterday's, which I
I
guess is
didn't
the
either.
finale. So, I'm looking forward to that. Um,
Also, this week, Terrence McKinney, does he fight every 3 weeks?
apparently.
He fought March of 22, August of 22, January 23, July of 23, August of 23. Now he's fighting October 23. Like, good Lord, Terrence McKinney.
Stretching.
Get those checks, I guess. Oh, and Ashley Yoder's back from Dan Henderson's gym.
Yes. And she's fighting Emily Ducote. That's a
Well,
rough one for Ashley Yoder.
1-4 in her last 5. Some would say all of them are rough ones for Ashley Yoder. We love you, Ashley Yoder, but I don't know.
Oh, downtown TJ Brown is gonna fight
Mm-hmm.
Darren Elkins. I don't even think that's downtown TJ Brown.
Is that the damage? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Is it down? Yep, it is downtown. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be that regardless of who wins that, it's gonna be really fun. But TJ should dominate that fight and put
And then
Elkins
you know
away.
what? Also, our boy Cody Simon.
Oh, Cameron.
Cameron Simon, thank
Cameron,
you.
yeah, the weird, creepy South African kid.
The really polite guy who like waited outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Your favorite fighter, Adrian Yanez.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Yep.
And against Jonathan Martinez. This will be a fun boxing match. Andre Petrosky and Michelle Pajeda is
I do
uh
not like Michelle Pajeda.
I understand. And I do, and this is a coin flip. And quite honestly, anything with Michelle Pajeda has to be a
Just take
fucking coin flip.
Petrosky. He's a for some reason an underdog in this fight.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad move. Um, Jennifer Maya, I think, is
Yep.
gonna lose to Vivian Arujau.
Okay, another underdog. There's your parlay.
Yeah, but Jennifer has some crazy wrestling, so I do understand the favoritism there.
Mm-hmm.
She should out wrestle Vivian. Uh, but man, and a fun main event: Sadiq Youssef,
Well,
Edson Barboza. Sure, I'll watch that.
it doesn't really have any. It's 11 and 13, I guess.
Yeah,
At least
and
they're
it's
ranked.
Edson. It's a fight night. Edson
Like that
Barboza.
fucking. But some fight nights are so good.
We
So
UFC Noche spoiled us.
yeah, this is a 1 o'clock start time, 4 o'clock Pacific for the main card.
Oh, and this weekend also is the big lunar eclipse.
Oh, well,
So, solar.
what do
Solar
they do?
eclipse.
Do they slide the paper like a big paper over the screen, or how does that work? Separately, Jake Paul and Dylan Dennis, or Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis.
Was that called off?
That's on. No, I don't think so.
I thought Dylan Dennis pulled out and it was going to be Mike Perry now.
No, Logan Paul's not going to fight Mike Perry.
Are you sure?
Yes.
So this is still happening.
Yes.
Logan Paul start date time. Yeah, everything still says it's happening this weekend.
Yep.
I thought that Paul said he was, or that Dennis said he was done. Something. I guess it was just bullshit. Anyway.
I won't be purchasing that or watching it. That's not even the main fight on that card.
Huh. Fuck that.
Similar to the last time Khamzat fought, the Nate Diaz, Tony Ferguson bullshit that for some reason not a single camera caught. You know, embedded cameras are everywhere always, but we somehow missed that in the backstage. I work at a middle school. Believe me, everything is on camera. So Okay, I just think the UFC has a real way with figuring out how to get the fights they want on the cards. I'm not saying they injected Paulo Costa's elbow with staph, and I'm not saying they held Charles Oliveira down and cut him or whatever the fuck his problem was, but I just think
Yeah.
they're much happier with this card than they were with the one that they had yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what? Good job by them getting this out of it.
I agree. You know what's weird is I want this is out there. This is out there. If the Paulo Costa withdrawal had happened and Kamaru stepped in,
Mm-hmm.
but Charles Oliveira did not pull out, um, that also would have been a very interesting development in the card and
I'm
kind of
sorry. Say that one more time.
like if Charles didn't pull out, but
Okay.
Paulo Costa did, and Kamaru still stepped in. Like,
Yes.
just if the co-main had just been replaced, even just that little bump was like, hell yeah. But to get
Yeah, I would
both
agree with that because Charles
is,
Oliveira is very fun.
yeah, like I was really looking forward to watching a Charles Oliveira rematch.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I actually think Volk is more deserving of said rematch. So I'm pretty stoked on it because
Yeah.
Charles Oliveira got put out like by Islam
Yeah.
the first time. So
I'd give you that.
hmm, yeah, crazy shit. Um, Not quite as crazy as within the same 24 hours, they announced that Conor is back in the USADA test pool so that he can
Mm-hmm.
fight next year
Mm-hmm.
when they will no longer be using USADA. So it's
So
like, is are we gonna get to see a juiced Conor fighting next year against Chandler? Is it Pride Days again? Like, what is this? I don't know what this
no,
is.
and I actually would not be surprised if one of two things happens. Okay. And just for the record, I'm scrolling the UFCstore.com right now, and I have had to add more things multiple times. I have seen a great many Patty the Batty shirts, even Tai Tuivasa, and even Tough 30 jerseys.
Hmm.
Nothing with Bo Nickals stuff on it. Bo Nickel anything. Nothing.
I bet Bo Nickel is playing this really, really smart and getting royalties into his contract.
But they used to have Bo Nickel stuff.
Hmm.
I remember it.
They have to have sold out.
They have some like Cyril Gone. There's a lot of the guys are and girls are in here. Alexa Grasso. There's a lot of Connor, a lot of Sean O'Malley, Khabib. There's Paulo Costa. Stipe. Actually, the Stipe shirt is cool.
Yeah, there's also a little John Jones news too.
Anthony Lionheart Smith. What was the John Jones news?
Gordon Ryan
Yeah.
posted a thing on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
saying that it was a pleasure to train with John for his last camp,
Oh.
insinuating that it was his last
Yeah.
fight for the
Yeah. Well,
organization. And then he removed it and changed it to say something less specific, but still hinting at the same thing.
maybe he meant it as like, oh,
Most
his
recent
most
last.
recent. Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently it
Probably not, but
drummed up enough for everyone to start saying that it is all in the plan for John to fight and beat Stipe, who's the winningest heavyweight champion of all time, to scoop up that cred to Jones's name. Talk about second prime, right? For Jones almost.
yes and no. So I mean he never tailed off.
I mean,
No, don't
he
do
didn't
this.
tail off in terms of skill.
He just had long layoffs for
He
one
had
reason or
long
another.
layoffs and fights where everyone thought he would look better.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
Gustafsson,
Yes.
Reyes,
Yeah.
those
Those.
fights.
No,
Like
Gustafsson, he looked good. The second time he
the
fucked him
second
up.
time, yeah.
It was Reyes and Thiago Santos.
Yes, yeah, those
That he
two.
didn't look great.
Uh,
Which one was in 2019? I'm going to tell you a story.
Santos,
Was it?
I
Let me
think
see.
so.
I watched both of those fights. I can tell you exactly. You actually have been in my living room. I sat on the floor in there drunk both times. So the time he fought, hang on. Come on, Wikipedia. Man, he has a lot of controversy.
Would have been
Thiago
Anthony.
Santos, July 6, 2019.
Oh yeah, and it was a
I
split.
I had just gotten a new job. My wife threw a party for me at my parents' house, and I got so very drunk.
Mm-hmm.
So drunk, Aaron. My sweet Aaron. So drunk.
Sweeter than this apple cider.
Sweeter than your apple cider.
Yeah. And
Is
you
this
watched it?
real? I'm sorry. Hang on. So I watched it drinking. Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to go here and just once give me let me bet. Wow. I I can't even with some of this stuff. Um so I sit on my floor and I drink scotch and I watch that whole fight and I was shit faced. Okay. I get to bed. The next morning, my wife and I are flying to Las Vegas out of San Diego, and I'm like dying in the passenger seat because she had to drive. It's like 5 a.m. I've been asleep for like 3 hours. It's bad. And she's like, let's get you some McDonald's. And I'm like, okay. So we get the McDonald's. It was like an injection of life. Speaking of injection of life, I am looking at Sean O'Malley's merch that he sells on his website, and there's some stuff on here that makes me uncomfortable. I'm just gonna say it.
Oh.
If I'm going to commend Sir Michael Chandler on his everything about the way he lives his life, Sean O'Malley does a lot of things I don't agree with. So I want to be clear that I am staying consistent.
It is wild looking at John Jones's record.
Yeah, sorry,
for
John Jones. Go ahead.
Like he has been stripped 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
He got stripped for the car accident, the drunk driving where he hit the pregnant
Mm-hmm.
lady.
Mm-hmm.
Then he got stripped for testing positive after Oven St. Preux. And then he got stripped after Daniel Cormier when he tested positive for the metabolites.
Is that true?
Yeah. And that was overturned to a no contest.
That's right.
Granted,
he beat the shit out of Daniel Cormier.
Yeah. What's crazy?
That was the one they moved. That was the card they moved to Anaheim, remember?
Yep.
Because the rules were better for him.
Yeah. And it's wild. Like, he has the DQ loss to Matt Hamill. But I don't remember that when he fought Anthony Smith, he was deducted 2 points in round 4 for an illegal knee
to the head to a downed opponent. And Anthony, I can tell you exactly where I was when this happened.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember Anthony Smith being like, fuck this, I'm still fighting.
Yep.
And
he could have eaten it and got the DQ win for the belt like Aljo did.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It was not as bad as the Aljo one.
No way.
The Aljo one was horrible.
Yeah. Anyone who says he was acting, maybe he was, but that was a rough
I don't think so. And you can't really say that now because he came back and beat him.
Yeah, very much so.
Like pretty handily. Right. So
yeah. Anyway, John Jones, might be his last fight.
Well, we're never getting another John Jones, that's for sure. This is never happening again.
No.
So
Unless
John and I are we the same age? Oh,
I don't
he's a
know.
little bit younger than me.
Yeah, a little younger than both of us then.
Mm-hmm.
Fun stuff, fun things. Um,
Did you hear about his brother?
John Jones,
Yeah.
the football player?
Uh-huh. Well, they're both football players, but Chandler, the better one.
No.
He something happened. He got arrested in Vegas, which is he played for the Raiders. Um,
Huh.
I don't know.
Recently?
Yeah, just in the last like 2-3 weeks.
Chandler
Let's
Jones.
see. September 5th. Oh, he posted on his Instagram account that he didn't want to play with them anymore after they locked him out of the facility. The Raiders coach said he was dealing with a personal situation. It was a private matter. They placed him on the not football illness list and then released him, and no team has gone near him.
Huh. It also
Yeah.
says, according to this, allegedly took item from his ex's home and burned them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Man, it's weird how much they look alike.
It's crazy that John is actually, you're gonna have trouble with what I'm about to say. Probably the third best athlete in his family.
You know what? That is not something that I haven't heard before.
Yeah. It's
That's wild.
much, much harder to play in the NFL than it is to fight in the UFC.
Oh
And
yeah.
um
The toll it takes on your body too.
Arthur has a Super Bowl ring and played 7 years in the NFL. And Chandler is like a legit all pro. Um well, maybe was he ever actually an all pro? Let's see. 4-time Pro Bowler. Oh yeah, 2-time All Pro, which is the best thing you can be. Super Bowl champ, Deacon Jones Award, um, All Decade Team, won the Dick Butkus Award. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
that's wild. That the very greatest MMA fighter of all time is the third best athlete in his family.
Yeah. And
Maybe
RIP.
second. Chandler is a better athlete than John is. I don't know. I'd have to really think about the other one, but.
And RIP to Dick Butkus. He just passed like last week.
He did. How do you feel about our Los Angeles Rams?
They're a football team.
Yeah.
Yeah. How they doing?
You know what? They have 2 wins and 3 losses. I would argue they're about 9 plays from being 3-0 or 5-0 rather. And their 2 of their 3 losses are to teams that are undefeated. And their other loss is to a team that's been in the AFC title game multiple years. So they're about to go on a little winning streak, I think, because they have some easier matchups. They've had a tough schedule so far.
Yeah. Huh.
And we love
Curious.
them.
Yes. Almost as much as you love the Doyers now.
So I'm torn on that. Let's talk about that for 1 second before we talk about USADA.
Yes.
You're not really like an emotional sports fan, are you?
The art part of martial arts gets
Okay.
me. And depending on the situation, I can be.
But
I was
who's the
super excited for the Cubs when they won.
okay?
Like that was great. The
Who's a
Sox too.
fighter though that you followed their whole career that if they lost would really bum you out?
Ooh.
Like
That's
legitimately like make you sad. Not disappointed, not oh that sucked and you changed the channel or whatever. Like legitimately like depress you.
you know what? There really isn't one that I can jump to.
And that's okay. It's
And
irrational of me to even ask the question.
yeah, and I mean the closest I can get to that is when it comes to the legacy fighters. And even that is not so much. Like seeing Frankie Edgar get nailed by the same kick from an up and comer guy, like that broke my heart. Seeing
Mm-hmm.
Chris Weidman break his leg against Uriah Hall the same way Anderson
Okay.
Silva did killed me. But like I laughed my ass off when Tito Ortiz knocked out Chuck Liddell in Bellator or whatever the hell that was. Like, so
Okay.
it's not all the way there. So it's not the same. I don't have the tribe that I follow in terms of a sports team and have huge
Yeah.
connection with.
For some
Used
reason,
to.
with a team, I think it's different.
Yeah.
Um,
When I was way younger, the Chargers had that impact on me.
okay. So you can at least understand the idea of what I'm talking about. And I'm certainly not talking about the
Yeah.
WNBA finals because who gives
Yeah.
a fuck about that?
Yeah. I remember when the Niners clobbered them in the
Yeah, 94.
94 Super
Well,
Bowl.
the
And I was
93 season, but 94 year. Yeah.
yeah, and that like broke my heart, like cried when it was like fourth quarter and it was like 40-3.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So I have been driven to tears a few times by things that have happened with my sports teams, right? I'm a Laker fan, but that's to me not something that is ever in like I would never consider like, oh, I think I'm just gonna be a Clipper fan like that. I would never consider that. It's
mhm.
not even remotely. I could tell you like I am fucking I have an unhealth like
Yeah. You invite them
okay.
into your
They
family.
are in fact a real they are a part of my life. Like a significant part of my life. And when Kobe Bryant tore his Achilles, I broke down in like I remember exactly where I was.
Hmm.
I was sobbing crying driving home on the freeway because I had gone my youngest brother who is now a math teacher played pretty competitive high school basketball and had a look at some division 2 and 3 colleges and ended up playing a little bit at a junior college and then had some work with a D2 school in Idaho and it just kind of fizzled out for him but I had gone to see him play in a tournament in Anaheim and so driving home listening to the game when that happened I was legitimately a fucking wreck.
Yeah.
But this is a team that I've been watching since I was 3
Hmm.
and I've seen really obviously a lot of championships but a lot of really bad years too, more good years. I've been it's been lucky in that sense. But even when the Lakers sucked from like 2010 to 2017, I never considered jumping ship. It was not even close because one, I knew that when they got back to the top of the mountain, which they did when they won the title a couple of years ago, it was going to be that much better. And two, I know that they as an organization, I know what they stand for and they are working tirelessly to put a winning product on the court, right? Um I knew that. When the Rams moved back, so my dad was a Rams season ticket holder going way back to when he was young. Um when they went to St. Louis, like a lot of people, he was like, "Well, I'm not, fuck them." And he ended up being a Brett Favre and Green Bay Packers fan. And I'm not joking. I think because Brett Favre was a big fan of Jack Daniels. And so was my dad. And so am I, not coincidentally. Um,
Nothing
and
wrong
but
with Jack.
we always kind of said if they ever came back, we'd jump right back on board, and we did. And the owner is a spare no expenses guy. They had a bad year the first year they were here, and he made wholesale changes. He brought in the best people he could find. He let them do their job, and they've been very successful since. Um, I went to the game against the 49ers a couple weeks ago. I've got a couple more games lined up this season. I'm getting season tickets for next season. And I was sitting in the crowd when they played the 49ers, and they are not as talented of a roster as the 49ers, not even close. The stadium was like 85% 49er fans, and they annoyed the fuck out of me. Shout out Mike, who doesn't annoy the fuck out of me, who was also there, but we couldn't link up because of the way SoFi is designed.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah, it's SoFi is an amazing experience, but they really want you in the section you're supposed to be in, and everything you need is just on the concourse above your seats, which is cool. Unless you want to go 2 sections over and see your buddy, then you can't do that. But they played them as well as any team has, and they were like 3 plays from beating them, right? So okay, all good. Also, they beat them in the 2021 NFC title game. Nobody forget, and then won the World Series that year. So fuck you, anyone who says the Niners have their number. But I was like, it was a very emotional day for me, and I felt very like, even though they lost, it was like, this is a team with a bunch of young players that's on the right track. They're doing this the right way. And I was just like, I'm 100% in on this organization, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The Angels are a top to bottom complete fucking disaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
You remember
everything.
in our old line of work when somebody 65 plus would come in and they had spent 19 hours on the phone spanning 2 days. They had made zero progress or maybe gone backwards. They couldn't even tell you what their original issue was. They didn't even know why they were trying to do. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
That's the Angels. Okay. They were one of the only teams that didn't pay their minor league players during the COVID shutdowns. They literally had a front office guy kill one of their players by funneling him painkillers. One of their clubhouse guys was giving opposing pitchers sticky substances that are illegal as far as the game is concerned to use on their hands against the team that pays him. They didn't have a weight room in Tempe until 2015. Just recently, one of their other players came out and said that their facilities and spring training,
Yeah, like the worst in the
everything,
league.
literally the worst in the league. It's just a disaster.
Ugh.
And they lucked out that 23 teams passed on Mike Trout.
Mm-hmm.
They somehow convinced Shohei Ohtani to come here when he came over here from Japan. A lot of people, though, if you go back to 2017, the winter of 2017, when they signed him, a lot of people said this two-way thing is not going to work. He will eventually have to give up one of the two. They thought his hitting was going to translate. They did not think his pitching was going to translate. You can go, the receipts are out there. You can look it up. Immediately, he did not pitch well or hit well for about a month. No, that's not even true. For about 3 days, and people were all over the Angels. Oh, the Angels fucked this up again, blah, blah, blah. And then he went on an absolute tear, and everyone was like, oh, shit. And then he blew out his UCL the first time, but continued to hit very well. And obviously has had a string of really historic seasons, whatever. And they still cannot figure out how to get even remotely close to the playoffs. This level of failure is like embarrassing, and it's hard because you look at some of these franchises like the Clippers and Chargers. I'm sorry, Ryan, I love you. That no matter what they do, they just can't figure it out. I'm watching the Diamondbacks. They're 2 outs. They're 1 strike and 1 out from sweeping the Dodgers. How many players on the Diamondbacks could you name? None.
Yeah.
The deepest cut baseball fans, they'll be like, oh yeah, they have that young fast outfielder and they have Zach Gallen. That's what most deep cut baseball fans would say. People who just follow baseball would be like, I don't think I could tell you a single player on the Diamondbacks unless you're a Diamondbacks fan. And they're about to be 4 wins from the World fucking Series. So, they figured it out, right? Tampa Bay spends no money. They figure it out. How many players on Baltimore could you name? Right? You might know that Texas has Corey Seager because he used to play for the Dodgers. Like, these teams are figuring it out. None of them have Trout or Ohtani. And the Angels they're not even close. And they're like, it's almost like it's. So I'm just having a hard time, but I'm not just I joke about being a Dodger fan. I'm not. But and I actually, because this is who I am, they need to let Ohtani walk. And I do think there's an outcome where with some of the young players they have who are promising, if Trout can be healthy and the third baseman can be healthy, who will not be named, I do think there is a conceivable, like next August, people are like, oh, the Angels are still in it. That's cool. How are they doing this? Oh, well, they've got 3 young pitchers who are pitching well. And remember Mike Trout, he's really good. And Anthony Rendon is healthy. And all these, like, it's there. The first baseman rakes from the second he got to the major leagues. We like the shortstop and the catcher. Like, these things could happen. But if they go out and do something stupid, or if they don't make the right managerial hire and the right manager is out there because the Giants fired him because they're fucking dumb and I thought they were better, The right manager is out there. He's a free agent. They don't need to go out and sign anyone big. There is a path. And
Yeah.
they could even say, hey, we're going to roll with Trout and these young guys for 2-3 years. We're going to lose productively. They're going to learn what it takes to win at this level. And then in 2 years, when they're all the ripe old age of 24, we're going to be a really competitive team. There is a path to that, and I would really like to see them follow it. I have it on good authority that Artie Moreno doesn't know what podcasts are, so he doesn't listen to this. But that's what you should do.
Huh.
And if they do, then I'm in. But if they don't, then I just don't know. And yep, there it is. The Diamondbacks just swept the Dodgers and are going. They are 4 wins from the World Series.
Wow. Who are they playing?
Either Philly or Atlanta.
Yeah. When was the last time they won a pennant?
0-1.
Wow, it's been
Randy
22
Johnson
years.
and Kurt Schilling, remember?
I was about to say when you said name a Diamondback player, I was gonna say Randy Johnson, but I was like,
You
that
know
was
what his
20 years
nickname
ago.
was?
The Rocket, wasn't it?
Randy Johnson?
What was
No,
his
that
name?
Rocket was Roger Clemens, I believe.
Who's Randy?
Randy Johnson, they called the big unit.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that should be the name of this episode.
And they were talking about his dick. Anyway, all right,
Yeah.
let's talk about USADA.
I mean, we already touched on it, right? I mean, what else is there to say? It's curious that they're getting out of that. Um, especially with all of the WWE bullshit and I don't necessarily think they're doing this because of Conor.
Kind of sounds like they are.
It does kind of sound like it. I don't think that it's all that though. And if it is, that seems like a busted bet. Like if they think that the Conor McGregors are what sells this sport and not the athletic competition, I don't know if they're right. I really
Does it
don't.
worry you that they do know what sells the sport, though? And that they know that a Conor pay-per-view sells like this and an
Yeah.
everyone else pay-per-view sells like this?
Yeah. I'm wondering though if it will. Like, I don't know. He doesn't defend any belt he wins. So there's literally no consequence to him winning a belt.
But
And
he's the David Beckham. David Beckham was never the best soccer player in the world. He was very good.
okay,
He
yeah,
was
I could see
he was
that.
famous and popular for other reasons, right?
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
So the Rogan aspect is interesting. So, and I was listening, I think it was when he had Sean O'Malley on. He was talking about letting fighters do some testosterone, some peptides, some other things that USADA will currently flag them for. And Rogan says the UFC should take their testing in-house. I don't know if they should let these guys jump on TRT, but did Sean O'Malley talked about it. He said he can't even drink Celsius energy drinks because it can cause him to test positive.
Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Wild. Okay. So hey, maybe it is an agreement with the fighters. Like, even though there will be whatever misuse there may be, which there will always be, maybe it's just some more freedom for them. And you know what? Like, I'm not gonna lie, like TRT Belfort, who's probably the example of TRT in the UFC, was way more entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I enjoyed watching that. It was more, they're just more on it, you know? You have that extra hormone. It impacts in so many ways. They're faster, they're stronger, they're maybe even hungrier. So I'm not really too turned off by it. I'm frankly kind of looking forward to the first half of next year because of that and UFC 300. Um, maybe it'll be a little bit of a change. Not to mention, like, I don't know how One on Prime did last weekend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when I went on to Amazon Prime on Friday or Saturday, it was on the homepage.
Yeah.
Like they have it right there front and center.
Uh-huh.
And those fighters, they're not on USADA, and they are doing some things.
Yep.
Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Just look at their bodies. And speaking of butts, but like
Nice.
uh I wonder if because when you watch when I watched the highlights of one this past weekend because I didn't get to watch the whole thing, um they make UFC fighters look flabby and boring. Like the one fighters are so fast and strong and violent that it is more exciting
Mm-hmm.
to watch. Like
Okay.
watching one fights is more exciting than the average UFC fight. And I think it might be because of that lax nature on substances.
I'd have
Uh,
to think about it, to be honest with you.
mhm.
I'm not sure what I think. I think there has to be some sort of drug testing.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely not letting Prime Uberim like Alistair Uberim
The
uh
thing
back.
the thing with Amazon Prime Video is
No horse steroids.
and One FC, how many eyeballs do you think? So I'm on Amazon's homepage right now. Obviously they have their like second Prime Day going on, so it's all that. So right, and I know that your homepage is tailored to things they know you search for, but the
Mm-hmm.
banner's not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how many, like, okay, right now, so you can get 3 months of BET Plus for 99 cents. How many people are seeing this ad just because they're already on Amazon? Like,
Yeah, a couple million
oh,
at
way
most.
more than that. Let's see.
It depends on the demographics.
That banner, you think?
Yeah. Yeah, they could target that.
Why would they target BET at me?
We like basketball a lot and other uh like
Let's see.
boxing, the predominantly African American
Okay,
sports.
okay. Yeah, you're way off. Do you know how many orders Amazon does on an average day?
Oh, well, I mean, that's a totally different question.
No, it's not, because all of them have to go to Amazon's website to do it.
Yeah, but that banner ad is based on your location as well.
Sure, but the answer is 12.1 million. In April 2023, they had approximately 2.2 billion combined web visits, which was actually down zero point 0.2 billion from March. The point of the matter is, and we agree on this, Amazon can put One FC in front of a fuck ton
Yeah.
of people,
Yeah, they can.
and their main revenue source is not even remotely Prime Video.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas ESPN's prime revenue source, no one is really even sure what it is anymore.
Yeah.
Furthermore, if I want to get to ESPN Plus, so let's just see how many clicks this takes me. I have ESPN.com,
Yeah,
and
ESPN's primary revenue driver is ad revenue.
okay, well, ESPN Plus is right there, and it does take me right to it. So I guess that's fine. But and ESPN Plus is very good. Obviously, it runs on the Disney Hulu infrastructure, so that's great. But I'm just saying they can get it. The Amazon people can get something in front of way more people than the UFC and ESPN can.
Yeah.
And how many people who already have Amazon Prime and Prime Video are going to be like, oh, look at that muscly guy. I'd want to watch him punch that muscly girl. And we'll click on it because it's there.
Yeah.
A good chunk, at least for however much time, right? So,
Yeah, they really could. And I mean, I think about how many people does ESPN have eyes, though? How many
let's
eyes does
see.
ESPN have? Because they're putting UFC's promotions in front of that. So,
But But let's ESPN reaches okay.
Like daily viewers.
It's not even close. So ESPN
It has to be in the 40, like 30 to 40 million.
unique monthly visitors somewhere between 100 and 120 million.
Yep. Yeah.
Amazon's doing 12 million orders a day.
Sure.
Every single morning. Do you know what I look at? Amazon's Kindle sale email that they send me. And they have me figured out because every 2 to 3 weeks they will recommend a book they know I want because I bought one in the series, mark it down to 99 cents, and I buy it every time.
There you go.
So ESPN.com alone, 95.2 million visitors in a month. That's not even close. That's 10 days for Amazon.
Yeah. That's wild.
If
that
you
global?
Probably. And this is actually from 2021. So let me back up a little bit.
Regardless, they can get a lot of eyes, and
they
if
can,
UFC
but not
wants
as many as Amazon.
Yeah, and if UFC and if people watch, if UFC casuals watch ONE FC, they're gonna be like, "Holy shit, why aren't these people in the UFC?" Because they seem just as good or better.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
it's like it's because they don't have USADA.
But
like,
do you think there doesn't need to be some sort of drug testing?
I'm sure there's something, but it's not as extreme. Not as extreme.
Let's search ONE FC drug testing.
Yeah. Huh.
ONE FC. Oh, get this thing out of my fucking face. Thank you. ONE FC has been drug testing its fighters for steroids and PEDs. With the International Doping Test and Management, IDTM is an independent organization that follows WADA, which is the one that the Olympics use, I believe.
Okay. Interesting. So. Okay. Cool. Well, I guess we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. There's got to be something.
Yeah, there does. There does.
What are we going to take it out on?
I don't know.
I've got it.
Okay.
Ryan, 2024.
Oh, how we miss thee.
Hey, you know why I love MMA so much? It's pretty neat. That is 100% true, but it's also because it brings us together. You know what? Violence really does bring people